Welcome to the Biz Bash podcast, where we make biz strategy a piece of cake. I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Cami, but you might know us better as Eliza and Calligraphy and Cami Monet. We want to help you, our fellow stationers, artists, and calligraphers, confidently build a profitable and personality-driven creative biz.
We're here to share our honest-to-goodness advice and actionable strategies for ambitious artists.
So put on your party hat, quit being a procrastinator gator, and let's get this party started.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Biz Bash podcast. We are excited to be here for our first Q and Cake of 2021 that just so happens to be Q and Cake number 21.
It's brilliant, I tell ya.
Brilliant. And we ended 2020 with Q and Cake 20, which also cracked me up. So serendipitous, but we are very excited to be taking some very thorough questions head on today. So Cami and I were just laughing about this because Cami pulled some big questions that are multiple parters. So we're going to do 4 today instead of 5 because we want enough time to break a bunch of these down. And since Cami pulled the questions today, she just went for it and grabbed all of the really hard ones that I've been avoiding. So
I thought these ones were easy ones. You always pull the hard ones. You always pull like the emotional ones. Where I'm like, oh Lord, I don't know. And mine were like these are straightforward, I thought.
That's true. I tend to visually, I was joking with Cami, I was like, I think I tend to visually like avoid the longer ones because in my mind, the shorter ones are like easier, quote unquote, when that's really not always the case. So I think you're right. Like these are pretty easy and straightforward. They were just longer written.
They're
you guys
longer written.
Are awesome writers. And so I'm sure some of you could write and write forever with how long these questions are.
I know. Okay, without further ado, I will read the first one. Here we go.
Okay, I'm
this
ready.
is from @Hazel Eye Designs. And this question says, just finished listening to your Dubsado episode and I love it so far. Woohoo! I started a few months ago with the trial clients and waited for the Black Friday sale and combined that with your affiliate link so it's super affordable. Boom, you guys. Don't forget to use our affiliate link, Biz Birthday Bash, for 20% off. Okay. Honestly, it seems so worth it to me that even without a sale or discount code, I would have been happy to spend the money. Anyway, my question is, when you send proofs and then subsequent round of edits, do you keep the previous proof forms available for your clients on their portal, or do you remove old proofs and only have the most recent / current proofs so they don't get confused? Personally, I would like to be able to go back and compare the proofs, but for a lot of my clients, I think they would be confused. They had access to more than one form labeled proofs in their portal.
Yeah, this is an awesome question because it really depends on whether or not you utilize the portal for your clients. I know Cami does a lot more than I do. And so I have a completely different approach based on the fact that I don't really share the portal with my clients very much. So they're not seeing that side of it. But Cami, what is your insight since you tend to really like utilizing the portal?
I don't delete the old proofs in there. Mine are just simply labeled proof round 1 of 3, round 2 of 3. So they're all just labeled in there. I don't really feel the need to delete them. I don't even know if they even go back and look at the old stuff in their portal. But I don't think they would get confused as long as you're naming your proofs in a way that makes sense. So it's not just like invitation proof, invitation proof, invitation proof, because then that would get very confusing. But if you say like proof 1, proof 2, proof 3, final proof, then it's going to be like very straightforward for your clients and they won't get confused in the portal.
Yes. And feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I have hired some people where they used Dubsado with me as a client and I have access to the client portal. And I'm pretty sure that things, once you've answered them, like disappear into a different tab. So I think like on the homepage of the portal, the most recent proof should be the only one that is showing up if they haven't submitted it yet. That's how I remember it in my head. But if that's wrong, someone can totally.
Yeah, I don't remember. I could pull up one, but I don't know if it really matters. But yeah, I don't remember if it like shows. Like you can definitely go into like the little tab where everything lives, but if like under the first, it would have like incomplete task in their first part of the portal. So yeah, it would just be like the proof that they hadn't seen yet. So they wouldn't have to like click through a bunch of stuff to find it if they hadn't completed it yet. Yeah, I think you're right on that.
Definitely. And I'm always someone who sends the proof form to the client directly. I don't tell them to log because I don't utilize the portal a ton. I'm not telling them to log into the portal to get their most recent form. And the way that like Catherine of Creme Brands did it with me when I was doing the website redesign with her is that she always did the same thing. She was like, here's the link to the form and the homework that I need you to complete now, but you also have access to this in the portal. At least
that's how I do it too.
That's how I remember it. And I think that makes it easier on your clients to do it that way because then they aren't left searching for anything at all. And you can just tell them, like, hey, all of these forms are kept in the portal and saved there if you want to look back and see how far we've come or look at your contract or whatever it is. But I definitely wouldn't go through and delete them because I like referencing my old stuff sometimes to see how the design has changed and shifted throughout the process. So as long as you're labeling them clearly, I don't see any reason to do that. That's just my 2 cents. And it kind of sounds like you and I agree on that, Cami.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't send the portal. I send like, here's proof 1, proof 2, proof 3 or whatever, like directly to their email. And like the portal for me is more for them to like keep like their guest addressing template link goes in there and like their timeline, like others like little things that might need to be referenced more throughout versus like a continuation, if that makes sense. So yeah, you'll be fine. Just label it under like 1, 2, or 3 or yeah. So it's not just like the same name for each one.
Yep, totally agree. And we are going to take a quick break and then we will be back with our second question of the day.
Y'all know we are big on protecting your booty and your biz. So we want to tell you all about our secret weapon for mailing invitations for your clients, the USPS mailing agreement. It takes the personal emotions out of stressful situations and lets your clients know exactly what will happen when their invitations go out the door, and it covers you in case anything goes wrong, which, let's be honest, it probably will. I mean, we love you, USPS, but you pray, okay?
Honestly, we've kind of realized that putting a small shipping clause in your contract just isn't enough. Trust us, we know from experience, there are just too many things that can go wrong when mailing. Things like
ripped flaps,
scuffs and scratches,
mishandled envelopes,
postage snafus,
lost invitations never to be seen again,
and rabid, overprotective dogs.
Okay, that was a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, a little bit. Okay.
Anyway, the point is, all of these are things that you cannot control. So why leave the burden of fate up to the United States Postal Service? Protect yourself with our mailing agreement so your client understands exactly what could happen to their invitations in the mail and how those situations are handled. If you've been scared to mail on behalf of your clients, this is the tool you need to add that next level service to your stationery biz.
Go to bizbirthdaybash.com/shop to purchase your copy today at $97. This is a steal. Seriously, you can't live without it.
It's true. Go get it now.
All right, everyone, we are back, and this next question is for me from @BerriesInBloom Studio. And I guess I will read it to myself.
I'll read it to you since it's for
okay.
you. Elizabeth, you've inspired us to want to start doing phone calls with someone after they inquire on our website. Like you said, we feel like this phone call could be very beneficial in selling our services and help soften the estimate to not scare brides away. The problem is we're not sure what all to cover and how to handle the conversation. How in-depth is this phone conversation for you, and what topics do you usually cover?
That is a great question, and I am going to go ahead and pull up my handy dandy form on the back end so that I can kind of read through this for you guys. Let's see. It's called my lead form questionnaire, and so long story short, I used to have this lead form client facing on my website. It's a lot of questions, and it was a lot of different things for them to try to figure out and check off what they wanted without necessarily having the education or the knowledge of what each of those terms meant. So what I ended up doing is that my client-facing form on my website now is a lot shorter. You can see it at elizaann.com if you want to take a look. And basically, I get their name, the event date, their budget, destination for their wedding, possibly. I think that might be one. Anyways, it's like 5 questions now as opposed to the like 18 that it used to be. So when they schedule the phone call with me, what I do is I just like walk through and ask them all of the questions that I used to have on this lead form that used to be client facing. So I ask them the name of their fiance. I ask them how they heard about me, where their wedding venue is. Then we talk about budget a little more in depth. And then one of the big things I do is like, tell me about your love story and how it pertains to what you want for your wedding invitations, because that leads to a lot of really great conversation where sometimes you can strike some common ground or just find things that spark some mutual interest or get you excited for creating the invitations for them. Because the more genuine excitement you can have for them during this phone call, like the better the phone call is going to be in general. And you just want to make a connection with them, because I think that really, really helps when it comes to doing sales, especially verbally. Then I ask them about whether or not they're having a wedding planner involved in the design process. So, will I be speaking with them or the wedding planner? And we talk a little bit about logistics for how that all looks. And if they want to pass it off to the wedding planner eventually, that's fine, but I need one point of contact. So I kind of go through that. And then I start doing a lot of like the educational part of the phone call. So I start off with the printing method and I go through like the differences between digital and foil and letterpress. And a lot of times I'll ask them up front, like, do you have any idea what printing method you want to use for your invitations? Or are you totally clueless and you want me to give you a little bit of a rundown? Because sometimes they'll come in and they'll be like, yeah, I really want letterpress. I know that's exactly what I want. But a lot of times, like at least with my inquiries recently, they just have no idea and they don't know. I'm working at trying to get out of that level of clientele. Like I would really like to have someone come to me to be like, I want letterpress, or have a little more semblance of what they want, or have a wedding planner that's helping them guide them on what they want. But I do a lot of education to explain the different printing methods, a little bit of how they're done and how that contributes to the variance in cost. Because obviously that's a big thing for a lot of clients. Like if you want to save money, you're probably going to do digital and flat printing instead of foil and letterpress. So then I ask them about like how many invitation sets they think they need, and to account for one per household. And what does that actually mean? Because people get really confused about that. And sometimes they'll be like, I need 200. And I'm like, no, that's probably your guest count. You probably only need 100 invitations. And we walk through that. And then the last little piece I do is the list of elements they're hoping to have included in the suite. And I check those things off, such as like the calligraphy envelope addressing, envelope liners, wax seals, all these little add-ons. And I kind of walk through all of those with them. And I just spend a lot of time throughout the phone call reassuring them that I will take care of them every single step of the way through the process. And that if we book, and they pay to book me, that we still have flexibility later on to change some of these things. And that this doesn't mean that they are completely like hardwired or stuck in what we've discussed during this phone call, because a lot of times if they book you out far enough in advance, you have a lot of time till you start their design. So I basically wrap up the phone call by being like, let's be friends on Instagram. What's your Instagram handle? I'm going to give you a follow. Let me know if you have a Pinterest board that you want me to reference and take a look at. You can shoot that to me via email. And I kind of like wrap it up there and then let them know that they're going to hear from me in 2 to 3 business days with the proposal and the quote. So there you have it. That is a very, very thorough overview of like everything I cover on the phone call with a client.
Oh my Lord, have mercy.
Yep.
That is
I
a
feel like
phone
that
call.
that was like 5 straight minutes of me just like talking and explaining that.
I loved
But
it. That was
give the
fantastic.
people what they want, right?
Give
People
the
want to know
people
exactly what
Yes.
I'm asking people. So that is exactly what I'm asking people.
So how long do your phone calls usually take? Like 30 minutes to an hour?
Probably I try to shoot for 30 minutes
Yeah.
because I feel like that's the most efficient use of my time. Because if I spend 30 minutes, I am not going to be super bummed or ticked off if they don't move forward with me.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's like enough of an investment that if they do move forward with me, I'm like, well, that's 30 minutes that's really, really well spent. So
Yeah.
but I'm learning a little bit more about the transition between kind of like the clientele that I'm taking now versus the clientele where I want to be, which is very interesting because the clientele where I want to be, technically, I would really only be communicating with planners. So my process could be shifting a lot in the future. My dream is to basically like operate how Carrie of Idea Emporium does. Because if you've ever been to her website, it's like 3 very, very simple pages that it doesn't cover like a whole ton of information, but it's like, she's high end because it's like almost like her website's almost mysterious and it doesn't give away a whole ton. So it's like you have to contact her directly. And that's how it's like, she's a big deal and you're going to have to like pay a lot of money to work with her. So she's someone I really admire in that sense for like the minimalism of her website. And she doesn't even have a questionnaire form for people to fill out. It's like you reach out via phone number or direct email to her. And most of the time, I bet the people reaching out to her are wedding planners. So things for me could change in the future. But like in terms of running a process that I have gotten like really comfortable with, I like doing the phone calls and it's worth it to me.
Yeah, I think that was a really awesome answer, and this person is going to love hearing all the detail.
Yay.
Okay. Next question. Shall we move on to the next one? I'll just read it. I'm just going to read all the long ones because I put them here. So
yes, go for it. I'm ready.
This is from @meaningful_papers, and this question says, "Hello, Cami and Elizabeth. First of all, I want to tell you both that I love your show and I listen to it every morning. Thank you so much. I am a new wedding stationery designer here in Dallas, Texas. I am DIYing my website right now. I am planning to launch my business later this summer. My question to you is that I've never worked with any customers before, so I don't have any testimonies and credibility to showcase on my website. So I would like to know if you have any tips to help newbies like me to get people to trust me and hire me as their designer. I am sure people nowadays don't really want to work with someone that have 0 reviews on the internet, right? That is a big concern for me. How long did it take you girls to accumulate your own testimonies and having your work showcased in magazines, etc.? Thank you so much."
I'm going to let you start with this one because my throat hurts from the previous answer. And I'm going to drink some water and listen to your thoughts on this first before I chip in.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, obviously, when you're first getting started and you don't have any client work to showcase, it can feel like overwhelming. Like you're like, how will I get anyone without anyone? It's kind of like how you have to have like 4 years experience to get this job. And you're like, but I need this job so I can get experience. Like it's just, it's very confusing. So we've always have talked about doing mock-up suites and just creating the type of work you would like to do. So you're able to showcase that. So you're not going to have testimonies at first, but at least you're going to have examples of things you're able to do. And your examples should be the type of work that you want to do. Like if you want to do watercolor, like don't put pictures of handmade paper. Like don't just create for the sake of creating. Be intentional about the type of work you're creating so you can be very focused on the type of clients you're trying to attract. And then just keep practicing that and practicing that over and over again to have all these images ready to go on your website, on your Instagram, because having that visual reminder is going to be like really helpful to be like, oh, okay, they actually do know how to do this. It's not just like they say they're a designer, but I've never seen anything they've done. So you want to just keep making those mock suites, of course. And then from the first client you land, because you will land one eventually, and just understand like your first 1 or 2 clients, you probably will take them on at a lower price point because you don't have experience yet. So this is like the perfect time to, take note of every part of the process, like what went wrong, what went right, and just like hone that in. So for the next client, you're able to just like keep building it and making it better and better and better. And you want to work really, really hard to do a great job on the first client so you can get an amazing testimony from them and make it a point to get that testimony. Like don't just expect them to leave you a review if you don't ask them and follow up with it. And maybe with your first few clients, you give them some sort of incentive to leave you a review, whether it's like, hey, I can give you like 10% off escort cards for your day of details if you leave me a review on these 3 websites, like that kind of thing, because those are really, really important to get those words from your clients. So yeah, don't get discouraged if you don't feel like you have all those testimonies yet. Just keep working on putting out that work that truly speaks to you, because the right clients will find you if you have that distinctive style.
Yes, totally. I think that was a perfect answer. And I was going to chip in and say that a lot of the time, like Cami was mentioning, your work can speak for itself. If they love what they see, I don't think they're going to really care as much necessarily what people are saying about it right in that moment. Because if you can confidently present them with your work and they have a good experience when they're inquiring with you, or maybe they heard about you from a friend or something else, then you're going to be able to move forward with people regardless of whether or not there are reviews on your site. So I used to think that it was like a really big deal to have a page on my website dedicated only to reviews. But now what I have is they're kind of sprinkled really like low key throughout my site, just as a little additional boost, because I really want my work to speak to the client or the lead first before they maybe see what someone else is saying about it. I want them to have a real connection with me and what I'm doing. And so I think you're probably getting hung up on how important reviews are. Like, yes, in the long run, I think it's important to have good reviews, but when you're building a website, it's very different from an Etsy shop where I feel like people make like a one judgment call based on the amount of stars and reviews you have in an Etsy shop. I just think they're totally different territories. So don't let yourself get hung up in that like 5-star mentality type of thing with your website, because you have so much more creativity and freedom in that space to express yourself and how you present your work without having to put a bunch of complimentary words all over it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that is so true, because like I think the reviews and testimonials just validate their decision and they're like, oh, I feel good about this, but they don't make that decision for them. Like even if a place has great reviews, but I don't like what they're serving at a restaurant or wedding invitations or whatnot, like whatever it is, it doesn't matter how great their reviews are if I don't like the type of work they're doing. So like your work is first and foremost the most important priority to like nail that down, get your style down, get your designs down before worrying so much about the reviews, because they are just kind of like a nice to have, but not a must have.
Yep. Agree 100%. And if you guys recall, we just spoke to Sakshi of Inquisited last week about handmade paper making. And we were talking to her about her website and how simple it is and beautiful and breathtaking, how minimalistic it is, how it really, I don't know, exemplifies her work basically and who she is as a creative. And she does not have a page that has reviews on it. Like that's not part of her site, but going there, it just doesn't matter because like everything she showcases is so beautiful. The last thing that I'm looking for on her website is like words of praise, if that makes sense. So just some encouragement in that department.
Yeah, it's nice to like get those clients and get those first testimonials just to like have like that validation, but you don't need them as much as we like try to gather them. Like they're good to have. I think they're like especially good to get on places like Google and Facebook, where like people who are finding your website through that can instantly see like, oh, this is a legit thing kind of, but it's not going to like the people you're speaking to on social media aren't going to care about your reviews as much. Mm-hmm. So not that big of a deal. Move forward. You got this. Keep making beautiful things.
Yes, you've definitely got this 100%. Okay. We are going to take another quick break and then we will be back to answer our final question of the day for you guys.
Hey guys, we just wanted to hop in and talk about one of our amazing resources, the A to Z directory. All of us have thought at some point, how did she do that or how did she make that? And maybe you don't know where to start or how the heck to produce this amazing product you've dreamt up.
Well, the A to Z directory is the missing puzzle piece in your biz, you guys, seriously. So it's built in the form of a yearly membership, and it's your one-stop shop for finding suppliers and vendors for all the things. Literally where to print everything from custom invitations, greeting cards, mugs, koozies, acrylic printing, letterpress, custom ribbon. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And it literally goes from A to Z. From acrylic printers to zipper pouches, we have it in the A to Z directory.
We want to help all of you search less and create more with this list of 300 plus vendors and suppliers. Don't worry, they're very organized. It's not going to be overwhelming and confusing when you join. And this membership also includes access to a private Facebook community. It's incredibly active and involved. And if you need a question answered fast, that is definitely the place to go.
Yeah, our Facebook group really is the best. You guys, everyone is so helpful in there. And we're in there too, answering questions you guys might have. So it's a great way to get access to us and ask us things without sliding into our DMs. So we're more likely to answer you in the Facebook group, just saying. Anyway, also in the Facebook group, this is new for 2020 and we're really excited about it. We are hosting monthly Power Hour Q&A sessions that are live, and these are only available to our A to Z directory members. So you can hop in with us live and ask us all your burning questions in real time and just hang out with us every month. And we do these at different times so you can actually be there live, and the replays are always available in the Facebook group for members.
This resource is priced at $147 a year, which honestly is extremely affordable and is full of so many benefits, such as exclusive vendor coupons for members only. And we would love to have you guys join. Seriously, it's kind of like our family and our tribe. So visit bizbirthdaybash.com/directory to sign up today and use coupon code podcast2020 to receive $20 off your first year. That's podcast, all caps, 2020 for $20 off your first year.
We can't wait to see you in the Facebook group.
All right, we're back. And this is a shorter question from @LadybirdPaperCo. And I will go ahead and read it for us. Do you guys have any recommendations for creating educational content, specifically keeping it on your website as a downloadable file versus a platform like Skillshare? Will this confuse people or feel weird to your followers that are clients and potential clients? And what are the best practices and tools to use for recording audio as well as visual equipment? So we have a couple things going on here, and we have actually never answered a question about creating educational content.
Yeah, we never have. That's why I pulled it.
I know.
I was like, I know we haven't answered this one. Okay, so let's break it down. It's the three-parter pretty much. So creating educational content, should you keep it on your website as a downloadable file or a platform like Skillshare? And this is the worst answer everyone hates, but it totally depends. It really depends on what type of educational content you're putting out there, how you want to get paid for that educational content, what the goal of it is. Like, is your goal truly to make money, or is it to like grow your audience in terms of the educational space? Like, if you're trying to, make some passive income and like grow that educational audience, I feel like putting it on a platform like Skillshare where it's just like one and done, but you don't make the full profit from it. I think that's right? Like Skillshare obviously has to make some money from it.
Yes, they take a cut of it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then that might be something to do there, because like it's kind of like how Etsy has a built-in audience for shopping, like Skillshare has a built-in audience for learning. So you're able to like grow like your audience that way. And then if you keep it on your own website as a downloadable file, if it's like a PDF sort of thing, you truly make all the money from that. So that's like, if your goal is just to have like a source of passive income and make money, that would be a great way to do it. But also keep in mind, you're going to have to do all the promoting and marketing for that as well. So it depends on what type of educational content. What do you think, Elizabeth?
Yes, this is kind of a loaded question because there's so many ways to approach this.
Yeah.
In terms of what you want to offer, because Skillshare is obviously all video based. So are you wanting to record your lessons and do it like that? Or are you wanting to record like you asked, or create a downloadable file like a PDF that people can just buy off of your website? So
it just depends.
It is really hard to answer objectively for sure in terms of like how to approach this. So I would take a little time to brainstorm and kind of figure that out. But I feel like trying to offer some educational content on your own site first never hurts, especially if you want to join Skillshare eventually, because then you're already going to have an audience of people following you. But I will say that this is kind of a good transition into the second part of this question, which I'm going to go ahead and read again, about will this confuse or feel weird to your followers that are clients and potential clients? I got to a point, and I would say like Cami did too, where we were both educating a lot on our own Instagram profiles. So Cami was on Cami Monet talking about things. I was talking about things over at Eliza Ann Calligraphy. And then Biz Birthday Bash was born. And we realized that we had very different goals, obviously, for our audiences that were going to be clients or wedding related, or in Cami's case, people who were buying products versus people who wanted educational things from us. So we got really intentional, probably back in 2019, right? When we were like, we're going to try to put a ton into Biz Birthday Bash in terms of making that our educational platform specifically, which is why this podcast was born. And then you can keep those things separate so that it truly does stay client facing in your creative business. So that might be something for you to consider in the future. But there's a lot of people who do the hybrid really well, like Holly of Sablewood Paper. She does not only products and weddings, but also has educational content, and it's all on one website. And I think she balances it perfectly. So It's up to you. It's just kind of one of those things that you kind of have to figure out as you go because you never really know where it'll take you. I mean, like Cami and I had no idea that we would be founding like a full-blown official LLC for Biz Birthday Bash, like
Yeah, exactly. And I think like my invitation clients, they all are aware typically that I have a podcast and that we do other education for other stationers. And like that is just like a check mark for me, like and being like, oh, okay, well, she is an expert in the field. She's teaching others how to do this. Like they kind of like they see me more as that expert in the field versus just like, oh, she's splitting her time because it still kind of like goes with what I'm doing. So it's never like worked against me in terms of feeling weird to clients. But in terms of like Instagram audience, like it does get confusing to like try to be speaking to people in the stationery industry and be like, here's how I do this versus like some of my things still teach, but are like a little bit more strategic. Like when I would show like, oh, here's what goes into creating a lookbook for a client and showing that like, that's just showing behind the scenes and people learn from that. But like my goal of that was to book more clients, not necessarily just like educate more people, but it obviously, falls into both buckets kind of thing. So I think you do have to be honest with yourself. Like, where do you want it to go? Do you just want it to be like a little like side part of your business, or do you want it to be like the main thing, which it could turn into that. So all this whole answer for this whole thing is just, it depends. But you can definitely do the hybrid. I think there are so many creatives who did the hybrid super well. It's not weird and it's not like, whoa, she's trying to do teaching and this. Like it all makes sense, like because it's all under the umbrella and bucket of your brand,
Yep.
The only time it wouldn't make sense is if you were like a wedding stationer and then you're like trying to teach classes on like jewelry making, and then it wouldn't make sense. Like that would be confusing.
Right. I agree with that completely. It is funny kind of like looking back at our journey and how we ended up to where we are today. And there was a lot of times like where we didn't necessarily have a goal or knew where we were going. It kind of just turned into what it is today over time. So at Ladybird Paper Co., you just got to get out there and try it. And if you are passionate about education, just start sharing on Instagram and sharing with your audience and seeing where it goes from there.
Yeah, because that's like Instagram stories are just a great way to test the waters and see what's like resonating with people are asking you questions. I mean, it's just like instant like test right there. Just like getting on stories and talking about something that you want to teach about. Like you can find out all kinds of information from there. And then the third part of the question, best practices / tools to use for recording audio and visual equipment. Well, we both have, what kind of mics are these? Yeti?
They're Yeti.
Yeti. We both have Yeti microphones. That's all I know.
I was going to say, if you really want to know all about like our recording setup and everything, you should go back and listen to the episode we have all about creating a podcast, because we cover everything in there. In terms of visual equipment, I mean, Cami and I just use our iPhones a lot. There's no fancy cameras or anything going on here. Like even when I did my YouTube channel, I used my iPhone for everything.
Yeah.
And that is the beauty of like modern technology, is that you can do that now and totally get away with it. So that is something else that you can also explore and kind of figure out as you go along. But if you do move into something like Skillshare or online courses, you are going to want to maybe, a lot of people just outsource or hire someone to help them with filming. So that could be something that you would think about in the future. But yeah. I'm not sure. That's so funny to think from the standpoint of filming something like when people do YouTube full time. I would have no idea what to tell you what kind of camera they're using.
Yeah, I have no idea either. But I do know this, like when we do any type of video or any kind of classes, like one thing that's like most important to us is the sound quality, because if it doesn't sound good, like no one's going to actually pay attention to it. Like even if your video is not like uber professional or whatever, like the sound is the most important. So I would like focus on nailing that first,
Yep. We were very, very picky about the sound for everything when we first started doing our podcast, because we knew that could instantaneously turn off somebody if they, tuned in the first couple episodes and they're like, oh, this sounds awful.
Even with like Skillshare videos or YouTube videos, like if it sounds like it's recorded from potato, like I'm not gonna pay attention, But like if the video quality is, not movie level, I don't care that much about that, because it, we see video all the time on Instagram stories and it's not like super HD or anything, but if the sound is muffly, that's no good. that's my little 2 cents on that.
Yep, agreed. Well, we really flushed those out really freaking quick.
I told you they were pretty straightforward. You were so scared of the long questions, but I was like, nah, they're just long-winded questions.
I need to let Cami pick more questions more often.
I know, you always pick the tough ones.
I do. I think I do like the challenging ones, though. There's something fun about that for me.
Yeah, yours are always like, okay, guys, if you had this existential crisis right now, how would you feel in this? And I'm like, oh gosh, here we go. Or like a really challenging client situation. I literally want to be like, guys, I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah, totally.
Oh gosh, but we did it, you guys. And don't forget, you can always submit your questions at bizbirthdaybash.com/Q&Cake. You can make them short, you can make them long, you can write us a novel, you can bring out the emotional ones. We don't even care. We'll answer them all. It depends on who's picking them, but we're going to answer them all.
We will get to all of them eventually, I promise. So in the meantime, please go and leave us a rating and a review on iTunes if you are able to. I know our poor Android users cannot do that. It's the most annoying and frustrating thing in the world. But if you have the ability, that would be really, really lovely because we love hearing from you guys and all the positive and sweet things that you leave for us. Cami, you know what? I feel like I should read a current review, don't you think?
You know what? I think we should. It has been quite some time since we've read a review, so let's do it. Go find one.
I am finding one. This person is the most recent one. So December 16th. We are falling behind. We got to get some new reviews here. Okay. And the caption is, I'm assuming the best podcast for all types of creatives. It gets cut off, but I'm assuming that's what it says. And this is from Corey T. And they said, Cami and Elizabeth truly make your creative business fun and a piece of cake. They cover practical and interesting topics that help your business flourish in the most authentic way. I'm a loyal listener from the beginning, and the podcast just keeps getting better and better. Oh, thank you for both being so thoughtful in the content and strategies you provide for creatives. That is the nicest.
That is the nicest.
So much.
I'm glad we keep getting better because I feel like my brain has turned into mush the older I get. I don't even know what's happening anymore.
I have to read another one.
Okay, go ahead.
This is from Natalie Jump, and she wrote, honest and positive. This was early September. She said, I really enjoyed this podcast, but this year has been really hard for this business with COVID. I really appreciate the honesty from Elizabeth, yet she's still so optimistic and positive today. So thankful for her transparency. And that really makes me smile.
You know, when that review came, it was after you shared about Publix, and I knew it would really, help everyone. So, see, just makes sense. It's good to be transparent and honest, and that's what we try to do here. So
I know. And we really need to get in the habit of also reading reviews more often because you guys just leave us the sweetest and nicest ones, and it's such a boost for us. So please go leave us a rating and review. We would really, really love that. And maybe we'll try more often at the end of Q&Cakes or something to feature a couple from people just because they're really special, and you guys deserve the shout outs for sure.
We definitely love you guys. Oh, and I know we didn't plan this at all, and I don't even know if we were planning on sharing it, but this would be a good time to talk about what we might want to do in 2021 with doing some episodes of bringing some of you guys on in our A to Z directory group members and doing little member spotlights because we want to just get you guys more involved too. So anyway, that's something we're thinking about. Now that we've said it, we have to do it. So
now that we've said it, we definitely have to do it. And they would be part interview, but also part coaching style. Because we get asked a lot from people. It's do you offer mentorship calls? And it's we really don't do one-on-one stuff like that. But we think it would be really cool to do it in podcast format for sure. The one catch is that we would be featuring people specifically from the A to Z directory membership and asking people to basically apply to be featured, which I have a feeling will probably be very hectic.
Yeah.
Because we have hundreds of members and it's how would you ever choose who to feature? But that is something that I think would be really cool for us to pull in this year. And now Cami is right. Now that we said it, we definitely have to do it. So
if you guys like that idea too, you can send us an email or DM us just to get your feedback on what you think about that too. Because I want to make this conversational.
Yeah, I want to make this conversational. And I'm going to go ahead and say, if you take the initiative to email us that you are a member of the A to Z directory and you would like to be on one of these episodes, our email is hello@bizbirthdaybash.com. And if we get an email from you right away and you take that initiative, I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. You're going to be a lot more likely to be chosen.
Yeah, and that'll be cool too, because you'd be like one of the first people where we kind of like shape what that episode kind of looks like. So
Yes, I know.
Come hang out with us. It's so fun.
Be our guinea pig.
Be our guinea pig. We want all the guinea pigs, you guys.
Yes. Yes.
Oh gosh.
Absolutely love it. And I'm just excited for what the rest of this year is going to bring and all of the awesome guests and everything that we have planned for you guys coming up. So we will see you next time. And we're looking forward to, in the future, talking a little bit about some Etsy ads, talking about numbers in your business and bookkeeping, talking about product drops. Like, we got some good stuff in the queue, y'all. So be looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, it's coming. I love at the end of Q and Cake where we just keep rambling on. Like they're just like the rambling episodes. Like it's the best because we just don't
like
really
divulges into madness really quick.
I know. I love it so much.
All right, y'all. That is basically a wrap for the day. So we will see you next time.
Bye guys. We love you so much. Goodbye.
Bye.